Michellle, she's now age 67. She's a retired registered nurse. We have a lot of health practitioners and physicians who come to us. Raise your hand if you are a physician. Raise your hand if you are a physician visiting us. Yes, thank you, thank you. We've got 4. Keep your hands up. Raise your hand if you are a nurse and you are visiting us tonight. We have a lot of nurses who go through our program, a lot. We're up to 13 hands up right now. And keep your hands up. 15 hands. Raise your hand if you are any other type of health and wellness practitioner, any other kind. Raise your hand if you're joining us tonight. We have a lot of you that come and watch our master classes. Thank you. We love you, and we are here to support you in every way that we can. We love our fellow healers, and we have a practitioners program certification program. So if you're interested, reach out to Shalane, if you could put an email that they can reach out. We actually have a certification program, and we take physicians and doctors and nurses and other healers through our program every single year so that you can learn how we are getting over a 95% success rate with every single client who comes through our office, no matter what they've got going on. And so if you want to learn that and you get inspired, then reach out to us and let's get you signed up for our certification program, because we can't do all this alone. We are, our mission and our goal is to make a big impact and help the planet change the trajectory of their health in mind, body, and spirit. And we cannot do it alone. We need you to learn how to do this work too, and how to do it in an affordable way so that so many more people can afford to do it. So moving on along, let's talk a little bit about Michellle, a retired registered nurse who came to see us when she was 64. And she had been dealing for many, many years with chronic symptoms like headaches, severe joint pain, trouble sleeping, mood swings, headaches, hot flashes, anxiety, she had this ongoing sinus congestion and nasal drip over the course of 10 years. In addition, she had an autoimmune disease called ankylosing spondylitis. She had systemic inflammation in her entire body that was just really exacerbating her pain. She had a chronic inflammatory condition of the pupil called iritis. And she had chronic gastrointestinal disease. Do you remember us talking about that? Raise your hand if you remember me showing you the frightening rising statistics of people dying from gastrointestinal diseases every year. Raise your hand if you remember that, of that statistic. Yeah. So Michellle was really, really sick and had been sick for over a decade by the time that she came to see us. And I'm going to let Anne go ahead and go over the rest of this story, because Anne has worked a lot with Michellle, as I did. And I know that Anne has some things that she wants to share with you as well.
Yes, so we did lab work for Michellle, and we found a lot on her labs. She had 9 different types of chemical toxins in her body, 7 of them in the extreme range. So all those numbers in the boxes that are in the red that you see, she had all of those different toxins in the extreme range. Multiple types of phthalates, which is in all the body care and the shampoo, parabens as well. And you can see all the symptoms listed there in the box to the left. All of those symptoms are known to be connected to these types of chemical toxins. And Michellle had everything that is there in the red. So she had a lot of her symptoms that we could directly connect to these different types of chemical toxins that she had in her body. Now, she also had very high heavy metals. She had thallium that was at a really high level. And thallium is known for tiredness, headaches, depression, hallucinations, psychosis, dementia, poor appetite, leg pains, hair loss, disturbances in vision. Headaches were a major symptom for Michellle. And remember, she had the eye issues. She also had the gastrointestinal symptoms. So we were able to connect the heavy metals, the thallium, to some of her symptoms as well. And then we also found mycotoxins with Michellle. She had some very high levels of mold toxicity in her body. Many of the symptoms that you see listed here on the left also correlated with her mycotoxins. Everything in the red is what Michellle was experiencing: autoimmune disease, neurological issues, leaky gut, mental health issues, inflammation, fatigue. We could directly connect those symptoms to all of the different mycotoxins. And you can see her before and after. The before is the top two bars, the bottom are after 11 months of detox. So she was able to drastically decrease her toxin load, not just with mycotoxins, but with the heavy metals and the chemical toxins that we showed you as well.
And, I just want to add that we had a question come in last night afterwards in the Q&A where someone asked, I don't know if you remember this, Anne, someone was asking, well, how do you know exactly what's causing the symptoms? This is a perfect example of how and why you want to do multiple tests. Because oftentimes, just like with Michellle, she had multiple things all known to cause the same symptoms and conditions and diseases that were all contributing. So it wasn't just one thing. And this is where most practitioners make their mistake. They're so narrowly focused. Oh, it's all mold. It's all mold. Oh, it's leaky gut. Oh, it's parasites, right? Oh, it's got to be heavy metals. Well, you know what? It's very likely 90% chance. And our studies and the research that we've collected over the years proves this, that if you have been sick for 2 or more years, you have more than one root cause. And Michellle is just another story that we can use to really help you understand why you want to take a broader perspective and really understand that if you've been sick for a while, you're going to have more than just mold, more than just a heavy metal, more than just a parasite or leaky gut or dysbiosis or candida or mold. You're likely going to have a combination of many of these things, right, Anne?
Yeah, and in Michelle's case, I think she had all of those things. So we took it a step further. We did this additional test, which is an organic acid test, where we took a look at her gut. And sure enough, she had the high candida, which is the yeast. She had the fungal overgrowth, which was coming from the mold. Her bacteria in her microbiome was very out of balance. Both her good and bad bacteria were very high. So that tells us the dysbiosis. She had that happening. And then she had a Clostridia infection as well, which is a pathogenic infection. Clostridia is a spore bacteria. We all have that in really small amounts in our gut, but hers had sort of exploded. So she had this really big Clostridia infection on top of all the toxins that we found.
And Clostridia is known to cause dopamine imbalances in the brain, leading to brain fog, memory loss, anxiety, sleep issues, and a whole host of other issues. And so this is such a great story showing you how you've likely got multiple things going on. And so it's going to be important for you to put a plan of action together, a strategy that's going to be able to strategically and systematically address all of your underlying root causes.
Mm-hmm. And take a look at Michelle's symptom sheet. It took her about a year to reclaim her health. She started, most of her symptoms were 7, 8, 9 range. By the end of 2 years, so this was over 2 years, all of her symptoms were 1s, 2s, and 3s. So she made amazing progress and recovery in 2 years. And Michellle continued to work with us after that. We still see her every year. She works with us for her wellness because she has learned the value of detoxifying her body, staying on top of her gut health, doing these tests on a yearly basis to make sure everything is still looking good in the body, right? She's learned the importance of doing that maintenance. So she has her life back. most of her symptoms have disappeared for the most part. And she's got her vibrancy back. She's got joy. She's free of all that suffering that she was dealing with when she first came to see us.
Exactly. And if you take a closer look at the dates on her symptom sheet, her symptoms made a huge shift within the 9-month mark. Now, everyone's a little different and people always want to know, and I totally get it. Well, how fast am I going to feel better? Well, remember that it took you years to get to the point where you are, and you already tried the symptom management, trying to make yourself feel better as soon as possible, only to realize at the end of the day that you've gotten worse over time instead of better. Now, in Michelle's case, she made a massive change in her symptomology within around 9 months. And as we continue to show you stories and case studies over the rest of this series, you'll see that some people started making a turnaround in 3 months, some people in 6, some people in 9, some people in 12. So, but it does take time. And that's the point that I want to drive home. When we discover how to do it like this super fast, trust me, we'll be the first ones screaming that from the top of the mountain. Hey, we figured out an instant cure, instant heal, like whatever you want to call it, right? But the reality is that it takes an average of 9 months to get chemical toxins and mold toxins out of your body. And some heavy metals can take 2 years. Infections can take anywhere between 8 weeks and 12 weeks typically to get rid of different types of infections. And so it's just a process and it takes time, but the time is going to pass whether you do something or not. So do you want to look back on your life like Michellle? She's looking back 3 years later, remembering how sick she was, and now she's coming up on 70 and she's vibrant and she's healthy. And she's super happy. And she's really, really glad that she did what she needed to do to reclaim her health.